Hello, this is Kev.
And Lil. We're discussing relationships in all of its forms and everything in between.
We've been together close to 30 years. We've seen some things together and apart.
So if you want to laugh or need advice, come and spend some time with Kev and Lil. Have we met?
Today's episode 9, is about bullying. The definition of bullying is abuse and mistreatment of someone vulnerable by someone stronger, more powerful. I found on www.stopbullying.gov three types of bullying. There's three types of bullying. There's the verbal, which is the teasing, the name calling, inappropriate sexual comments, taunting, threatening to cause harm. And then there's the social bullying, sometimes referred to as relation bullying. Relation bullying involves hurting someone's reputation or relationships. And then the third one is physical bullying, which physical bullying is hitting the person, tripping, pushing, taking someone's property or breaking something, causing harm to the person's property or what have you, and being mean to the person. Basically, when we say bully, we mean mean person, right? And we all know. And it's funny because supposedly studies say that that bullying starts or peaks, doesn't start, but peaks around ages 11 to 13 and decreases as children grow older. But but we know some people that never grow up that remain bullies. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Um, it's my views on bullying, and unfortunately, I've been bullied, and at times I've been a bully.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, I've sort of bullied our kids at times, and and I'm eternally sorry for that. Um, it, it's not something that I'm proud of at all. But as I look back at it, yeah, I was a bit of a bully at times with the boys. I kept trying to to convince myself that no, they need to be taught to be men, and I thought that was the way of doing it, and I was wrong. I was unbelievably wrong.
And you apologize.
I have apologized at times. Yeah, and I think with bullying, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to use this as an excuse, but I think with bullying a lot of times as well, we it could be hereditary. I know I was bullied by my parents.
Yes, I think we all felt that
I,
from our
I
parents.
I was bullied by my brothers at times. Of course, they would call it teasing now, or
Mm-hmm.
they were teasing me, but it was a bit of a bullying. I mean, I could tell you things that were pretty rough. Um, you know, it, I remember our younger son coming home, and this was during the anti-bullying phase of school, which happened maybe what 12 years ago, I want to say. And he'd come home and he goes, "Yeah, it's a bunch of bull. The school keeps talking about anti-bullying, but there's a kid in my class, and he's a bully." And I was like, "Well, have you told the teacher? And have you done this? And have you done that?" And he says, "Yes, yes, yes, but they don't do anything. He's related to one of the teachers, so they look at him differently." And I said, "Okay, well, now me being bullied as well as being a bully, I told my son to do certain things. I told our son to do certain things.
Oh
I don't
my
know if you remember
goodness.
what I told him, but I specifically, especially this one kid, I said, okay, look, you can do this one of two ways. You can you can hit him. Of course, I don't condone hitting at like that, but shoot, at some point you got to defend yourself. And he said, "No, Dad, I'm not going to hit anybody. I'm not going to hit anybody because he was never a violent kid, so he would never do that. Or you could really hurt his feelings, and I'm good for that." And I said, "Is his parents still together?" And he said, "No." I said, "Okay, you want to really get him back?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, why? What do you want to say?" I said, "Well, tell him that it's his fault that his parents broke up."
That is horrible. I remember when you told him that. That is.
But this is me. I will go for the jugular. I will go. I said, "My kid is not gonna sit there and take abuse. At least not from somebody
Well, he
outside."
was a little jerk. I mean,
Oh, he was a jerk.
Guys, I don't dislike children. I mean, trust me, I was an after school teacher. I was a Sunday school teacher. I've dealt with children, all ages, sizes, creeds, everything, nationalities, everything. And I never disliked a child, no matter how problematic or whatever. But this one kid, even my husband was like, "Babe," and I was like, "Can't effing stand that damn kid." I mean, this kid rubbed me the wrong way, and I mostly because probably what he did to Xavier, and he would pick on him. And being that I was a teacher, I couldn't pick sides, but just wanted to knock him
Forget
out.
that. I pick sides real quick. I pick sides real quick. I was waiting for that school to call me to say something because you know how I get with those
Yeah.
teachers. Because it happened with Jeremy too, our oldest. When he was in school, he got bullied, and this kid freaking attacked him in the classroom. And I went over there and I flipped on that principal.
Yeah.
I flipped on him.
Good cop and bad cop.
Oh
Yours is a
man,
bad
was I the
cop.
bad cop? And and with Xavier too. Unfortunately, Xavier, when he left that school, he had to do summer school, and unfortunately, he was in a private school at first. So
Unfortunately.
you know what I mean. Unfortunately, because he had to do summer school, so the thing was, since
I don't
he grew up in
understand.
private school, he didn't know what the public school kids
Oh,
were
that's
like.
why. Okay.
And I warned him beforehand because I grew up in public school, New York public school. Trust me, back in the day, it was even worse. Nowadays, it's not as bad, but hey. And, I told Xavier, whatever you do, keep your mouth shut. Because Xavier had a big mouth. And I said, keep your mouth shut. Just do yourself a favor. Just get through the summer. And. And there was one day, I guess this one kid who was already a few years old, like he was too old to be in middle school, this kid. And he was like 16, and all the other kids were like 12 and 13. And the kid came in, disrupted the class, from what I understand. And Xavier, trying to stand up for everybody else, was like, "Hey, can you cut it out? Some of us want to pass this class." And the kid threw a fit. He cursed him out in the classroom. And on the way home, unfortunately, Xavier got jumped from behind.
Yeah, and he even announced it in class. He was like, "I'll see you outside after school." Like a
And
threat.
Xavier didn't take it for what it was. He didn't take it seriously, and we had to take the kid to court, all this stuff. And
Took him,
I
got him
mean,
from behind. He jumped
if there's
behind.
anybody I wish eternal explosive diarrhea is that kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's messed up. It's messed up, and it's hard for Xavier too nowadays, just because he has trust issues because of that, because he feels like no one helped him. When he got jumped, instead of one kid at least saying stop,
Yeah,
instead they were
everybody was
standing there
recording.
freaking recording it.
With their phones.
Let-
I'm so glad that they did that now. They passed, I think it's a law or something like,
I don't know about that.
well, they were thinking maybe of passing the law. I don't know. You guys let us know in the comments if you know if it's true or not. But I heard something to the fact that if there's a crime occurring or happening and you record and not call 911 or not try and seek help and you just record it, you're an accessory to it or something. I forgot what
I don't know about all
what
that.
the legal term was that it was, but you will be prosecuted also. Like you'll get fined or something. I don't remember. But I'm glad because people now love doing that. And I'm gonna be honest. When I'm scrolling late at night when I'm not supposed to, but when I'm scrolling, I see these stupid videos that people record, and I'm like, why isn't that person helping? Why are you recording and not helping? So it's something that I do not wish on any parent ever, having to see a video like that of
Yeah,
your child.
that was rough for me. To the point they didn't even want me in the courtroom because they were scared what I was going to do to the kid.
And I'm glad that you had said something about, because I was reading on bullies and bullyings, and it's true what they say. Bullies are not born; they're made, or they're not made; they're born. I mean, this kid, and you could see the parents; they look like such nice people, whatever. And I'm like, this kid is, I don't know what is it. People, I guess, bully because it's a way of for
there's
them
a lot of
getting what they
different
want.
there's a lot of different reasons for it.
Yeah,
There's
but
a
one
lot.
of them is like if to get what they want, or at least for the short term, and because they lack social skills. You know, they don't teach them not to do harm unto others.
Well, yeah, but what's the excuse for bullying from a parent? And we've both
Yes,
gotten that.
absolutely.
We've both gotten that.
and we've both done it because, we threatened. Xavier, you don't eat your vegetable.
Yeah, well, come on. That's not really bullying.
You know.
That's but I mean, I know I've held things over his head, or not even held things over his head, but I've said some things that maybe I shouldn't have. And sometimes I feel like, oh man, I feel like I'm repeating history, man. Because I remember
You
when the
used to
kids
do
a
it to my
parent thing.
friends' kids too.
My what?
Stinky feet or
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, but that's just teasing. I don't even know if that's
part of
bullying.
bullying. Sir.
Okay,
Sir,
okay,
that's
fair
bullying.
enough.
Teasing is bullying.
I guess at times. I guess.
I married a bully, guys.
I remember, man, I would get bullied on my weight, constantly on my weight.
Me too, and I still
mean,
do. I still do.
I would, when it came to the parents, they would bully me on the weight, my life choices, my relationships.
I think family members are the biggest bullies, at least in my book.
The way I spoke, the way I stood. My father would put those shoulders back. You look blah 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 blah, and I'm like, okay, relax. You can still tell me that without berating me in public.
Yeah. And that's the best part when they do it in public. That's the best
Oh man! Oh, my favorite was when my brothers would see singly. When they were not together in the same room, fantastic. They would treat me great. When they were in the same room together, holy cow, they would gang up. Mind you, I'm the youngest, and I'm the youngest by 10 years at least, and still they would. And I'm sitting there going, Are you kidding me right now? You guys were fine when you weren't in the same room. All of a sudden, now you're in the same room. You found something relatable to each other that you could make me feel like crap. Oh my gosh, I made this one mistake. I still remember it. I made this one mistake. We used to go camping. And I was a kid. What was I, like 12 maybe? And I made this one mistake of it was gross, yes, but you're a kid. I was 12 years old, and I put ketchup on Frosted Flakes. Yes, it was gross. I know it was gross. Yo, I am 53 years old. They're still talking about that crap.
And I bring it up too.
I'm like, come on, man.
Like, you did what?
Oh, my God. Look, I remember, let me tell you, and people don't realize this. I tell Xavier this every once in a while. I tell him, yo, I was bullied from the moment I woke up until I fell asleep. And he looked at me, how is that possible, Dad? I said, really? Okay. I'd get bullied from, when I was younger, I'd get bullied from my brother being in the same room, to a certain age. He'd come by, smack me in the head with his big architecture book, giving me the massive headache of a lifetime. My mother sitting there just telling me, blah, 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 you shouldn't eat that, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't this. Everything was you shouldn't, you should. There was never a, hey, you did a good job. To, I'm walking to school getting bullied by people, okay? And then my favorite parts was my mother, when I would turn them out, yeah, these people treat me bad, this one is it. Well, what did you do to them? Why are they treating you that way? I'm like,
They would
what?
flip it and turn it around.
I'm like, what? What did I do? I didn't do any. I lived. I was existing. That's what. Oh no, you must have done something to them. I like really. So everybody under the sun that I see, I've done something. So I'm just offending them by me being alive, I guess, right? And of course, you couldn't talk back to her, so she didn't want to hear that. And then when I got to school, the people in the classmates would say crap to me from what I wore to what I said to you name it. Oh my goodness, to my teachers bullying. I remember one time in high school, I was in gym class, and this one a-hole of a gym teacher, he wasn't even my gym teacher, okay? He stood there and he called me something that really bugged me. It was an annoying nickname they gave me in high school, and I hated it. And no, I'm not going to tell everybody what it is. And this a-hole decided to say it because he wanted to get a laugh out of the class from picking on me in front of everybody. And I was like, really, Gumby? And everybody laughed even harder.
Yeah,
and you know what he
you're
did?
good at those
And you know what he did? Well, I had to learn. And he turned to me and he goes, "You want to step outside?"
Your
Yo,
teacher.
I was 15 years old. This guy had to be at least 30. And he actually said, "You want to step outside?" And I said,
That's social bullying because
Oh,
he did that.
what a
He
piece of
berated
crap
you in
he
front of
was.
people. You embarrass someone in public. That's
"Oh,
that's
yeah,
social
but God
bullying.
forbid."
That's-
And like I always said, a bully can't take it if you smack him in the mouth. So if you give it back to them in any way possible, they can't take it. Oh, man.
Well, okay, that's our past. Let's talk about our present. Bullies at work. I've had plenty.
Oh, I've had a couple people that thought they were superior to me and they would say stupid things.
Well, like for instance, when they would exclude me from meetings, or I forgot to CC you on this email, and take credit for work that I have done. That's bullying, in my opinion. Like, if you withhold information from someone at work that's supposed to, like, they wanted to get me in trouble. They wanted to push me to a corner, and they didn't want me to socialize with other certain, like, remember when we were in school, oh, you can't talk to that person because I don't want to be their friend, so you can't be their friends either. So they would bully you into not talking to that person. Same thing happens at work. It's weird because we tell our kids, oh, they'll outgrow it. No, it's just like it continues at work. There's bullies at work. There's
Bullies are always going to be out there.
Life, period.
They're always going to be out there, unfortunately. And I guess, my coping mechanism after a while was my defending was, saying things back. Oh my gosh. I remember, what was it? Remember that one time? I remember we were sort of having not even an argument, but we were outside, and it's a pet peeve of mine that I don't like it when people argue in public. And unfortunately, we were doing this, and this was early on in our relationship. I remember it was around Union Square in Manhattan, and we were both getting a little loud, and I realized, I was like, oh, what am I doing? And this woman walks by us and just is shaking her head at us. And I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, and her response was, "I'm thin." That was her response. Do you remember that?
Well, at least I'm thin.
At least I'm thin.
Yeah.
And my quickest response was, "Yeah, but you look like a man. Come here, let me see your Adam's apple." And don't get me wrong. Nowadays, I wouldn't say that.
Come up with quick ones like that.
Oh man,
First
I
of
was
all,
very
that
much.
was not nice.
But hey, it wasn't the first time I used that too. I remember one
It's a
time.
man, baby.
I remember that one time I was in a club. We were dating, but I went to hang out with the guys, and I'm standing there, and I wasn't even in the mood to be there, but they asked me to hang out, and I'm there, and this woman bumps into me, like really bumps into me hard, and I'm like, "Excuse you," and she goes, "You're so big," and I was like, "What?" And she goes, "You're so big. You take up so much space."
That is
And I was like,
that's horrible.
I just said, and I said some things, and that weren't very nice. And then I said, "Okay, you want to be that way? All right." I went over to the bouncer, and I said, "Listen, is this place becoming a transvestite club?" And he just looked at me. He's like, "What? What do you mean?" I said, "Because that dude over there with the skirt and the long hair, I saw him standing up in the bathroom taking a pee at the urinal.
Kevin, that's not nice.
That's it. You wanted to be nasty, I could be even nastier." And they weren't, and they grabbed her. Yes, because it wasn't a he, it was a her, because she was so nasty. And they were like, "You need to go. You need to go." And I just and at some point she caught my eye, and I looked at her and I just waved.
That's horrible. Kevin.
Hey, you wanted to be a nasty person. Hey, look, again, I had to learn to defend myself. And nowadays I've learned to curb that. I learned to take a step back and keep my tongue in check, because again, I could get into even more trouble. Or better yet, I could say something that's really hurtful. And I'm not trying to hurt
Yeah,
anybody's
but
feelings
you're
now.
not being the bigger person. Like, you're just
No,
doing
I'm
the same
not.
thing they did to you.
Yes, I am. And I'm not. Yes, I was. Yes, I was. I try not to do it as much nowadays. I try not to do it as much nowadays. But sometimes
So
people
you
will bring
bully
that
the
out of me.
bullier. Is that what you're saying? You give them their own medicine,
Yeah.
but
I
that's
could
not
say,
teaching them
no, but
anything.
you know what, though? I'm not here to teach everybody a lesson.
I understand,
Or
but
better yet, I'm not here to
does
teach.
that make you feel better when you berate someone else after they berated you?
Yes. Sadly, yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It did. Not now.
Okay.
Now I try to not do it. Now I try to remind myself, hey, you know what? You don't know what someone's going through. You don't know why.
That's good. So you're growing up.
Yeah, well, it
Good
only
for
took
you.
50 something years, and I finally started to grow up. Again, that happened
And that's
many
due
years
to
ago
him?
when I was doing those things. So,
That's good. Well, at least you're growing.
yeah.
But I'm like, it's bullies are everywhere. Families, schools.
Oh man,
Work.
I'm sorry again. Relatives would criticize my eating habits. Okay,
Oh, they
while
still
I
do.
was eating, while I was eating,
And they still do.
and then and to the point that I'd have to get up, I'd go eat in the bathroom just because I didn't want anybody bothering me.
Oh, babe, I'm sorry. You had
Yeah,
to do
well,
that.
this is what I'm saying.
I would stop eating and walk away.
I
was. My family members are, God love them. Yeah, my mom, not excluding my mom, they would always, they would bully me into not. Oh, you're so pretty, but you're too fat. Or, in school they used to call me a cow. Mind you, guys, I was not that big. I'm big probably now, but I was not that big. And I was called a cow.
But she's
it was
freaking
just-
gorgeous.
It was just, they would bully me. And yes, including my own family. But mind you, someone would bully me in front of them, then they would bust their butts and kick them and beat them up. But they can do it. But yeah, the biggest bullies, I think, were my family. And it was always about my weight. When I was here in New York, I was considered the spick. I don't know. I was always the Latin chick or the Puerto Rican, so I felt left out. So they used to bully me because I was Latin. And then when I moved to Puerto Rico, then they would bully me because I was a gringa. I was an American. So I never fit anywhere. So I personally, in my opinion, my biggest bullies were my family and then my friends. Thank God my friends that I have now, they're not. And whoever I did bully in the past, I apologize. I don't recall if I ever did, but just in
So do
case
I.
I did,
So do
I
I.
just want to say I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Because like they said, bullies are not made. They're not born. They're made. It's like, I guess I felt, how can I put this? When you're bullied, it causes some psychological effects, right?
Those things carry on.
Yeah,
With you.
and then you
They carry
like
on.
Kevin did. He like this chick went off on him in the club, so then he went off on her. So it's a tit for tat. And like I said, I do apologize if I ever did bully anyone. And yeah, we used to tease each other when we were kids, but we did it to each other. I'm not saying that was okay, because teasing is also a form of bullying, but we didn't know any better. That's how our parents treated us. So we thought it was okay to treat others like that too. So I'm glad as a society and as people, we are growing into, hopefully,
Well, look,
not all of us, but most of us, hopefully, will do better.
So I've actually confronted past bullies. I confronted one to the point he didn't realize. Actually, neither one of them did. One I confronted, and I told him, "Hey, you used to bully me when I was a kid," and he looked at me and he said, "What? I did?" And he was surprised. He was surprised. He didn't even realize it. And I said, "Yeah, man, you used to bully me." He apologized. He actually apologized. And he said, "Look, you know what? I didn't even realize if I." And he goes, "I feel so bad because I was bullied by this other guy that we
Exactly.
knew," and he goes, "I'm so sorry. I didn't
That's
even realize it." And I
beautiful.
said,
He
"You know what?
apologized. He was,
The fact that you
yeah,
apologized and you took ownership of it, even though
that's
you
wonderful.
don't
Yeah,
remember,
because I,
I
I
can
don't
appreciate
remember.
that you're sympathetic
Yeah.
and you're empathetic to it, and it's okay. We're past it at this point." Now there was another one that I confronted, and I confronted it probably slightly the wrong way. It was a video I was watching online during one of the social media posts. It was I think it was on Facebook or something like that, and it was a video of a kid, chubby kid or whatever it was, and the poor kid killed himself.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, and I'm watching this video, and at one point they said, yeah, his bullies told him he should kill himself,
Good Lord.
and because nobody likes him anyway, so why should he even be around?
Yeah, it's cyberbullying too. That's what they do.
And it was a trigger for me because I remember when that happened to me when I was a kid, and I said, "Holy crap!" And I remembered who did it. And I posted online. I said, "Hey," and mind you, me and this guy, we sort of became friends later on. And I said, "Hey, remember when you did this to me?" And and then I took it down because I said, "You know what? That wasn't the right way to do that. I should have contacted him directly." He actually called me up, and he goes, "What are you talking about? That never happened." And extremely defensive. "That never happened. I don't remember doing that. Why would you even say that?" And I said, and I was
Instead of
like,
like your other friend that said, "Oh, I don't remember doing that,
"Yeah,"
but
and
I apologize."
exactly.
Yeah,
And
that's not
this
a good
guy
sign.
became so narcissistic, so manipulative that he tried to turn it on me. And I said,
Oh
"Look, I'm going to
wow.
say this. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to apologize. This is trying to teach him, the right way. Mind you, we're in our late 40s at this point, right? And I'm trying to teach him, like, you know what? I'm going to apologize for handling this situation the wrong way to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to apologize for saying that it happened
Because he did.
because you
Yeah.
you did this. No, no, you must be going through something. I must be going through something? Yeah, I guess I'm going through the fact that I'm remembering you were a total jerk to me when we were kids, and it was awful. And I contemplated at that time as a kid, thinking, why should I even be around? I'm being told I
Oh,
shouldn't be here,
Jesus.
and again, you don't realize the words you say
Yes.
to people. You don't
Facts.
realize what, as kids, what they're going through. Shoot, as adults, what people are going through. You just don't know. And I was like, holy crap. And mind you, this guy doesn't want to talk to me now. And you know what? No love lost there. He wasn't in my life on the regular anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, who gives a F?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've told you about him in the past,
Yeah. I was
and
like, how did you
and,
stay friends with
and
this
you actually
person?
said that to me. You're like, "Honey, you do realize you were being abused, right? You
Yeah.
were in an
Yeah.
abusive
And let me
relationship."
tell you guys, it has effects. Bullying does affect. There's studies that say that it increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. It increases their risk of anxiety, depression, sleep difficulties, low self worth. I mean, bullying increases depression, period. I mean, how many people actually committed suicide because someone told them they were worthless and they actually believed them and they were put down? I mean, bullying is bad, guys, period. Let's stop that.
Well, look, again, I like I was saying, I was bullied through high school. They had a name for me that I grew to hate. Ironically, my mother, the ultimate bully,
Mm.
called me Barney. as in Barney Rubble, because she said I had no neck. Yeah, that was my mother. That was my mother in a nutshell.
I don't mean to
Unfortunately,
laugh, babe, but it's like if I don't laugh, I cry.
yeah, and and of course she'll come out and say, "Oh, that was nothing," and I go, "Well, maybe for
Yeah, we were just
you."
joking because when I confront my family, they're like, "Oh, we're just teasing, we're just joking," and I'm like, "It's not funny."
Yeah,
It must have been. It must have made some kind of effect. It must have affected me somehow that I'm still talking about it. It still bothers me. I hate the fact when they say, "I was just kidding, I was just teasing." Like I said, I apologize if I ever did that. But now that I've grown, hopefully grown as a person, I can say I apologize because, like your friend, he denies it.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah,
family
totally
denies
clueless,
it.
this guy.
Yeah,
Totally
my family
clueless.
denies it too, or they just say, "Oh, scoff. I was just kidding, or we were just teasing."
Do you remember another friend? And yes, I'm using quotes,
Air
quotation marks,
quotes.
air quotes. That actually, when he heard what I did, actually called me up and said, "What are you trying to say? That I'm not saying that didn't happen." And I just was like, "You just said it by saying that, because you could have easily not said anything. You could have minded your own business." Because again, had nothing to do with you. But this guy, unfortunately, he's still drinking the Kool-Aid, and he's believing
That means
something else.
they're
Well, I
still
wasn't there when it
friends.
happened. I said, no, of course not, because we weren't around each other 24 hours a day. There were times that it was just me and the guy, or me and some other, or me and this guy that called me. Or no, not every single time. But my closest friend contacted me, and he goes, "Kev, I remember when that happened." He actually said that to me. He goes, "Kev, I remember when it happened. I remember when he said it to you."
Redemption.
And I just was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for saying that," because I I I was starting to worry that maybe I didn't hear it, and or better yet, I made it up, and that's the last thing I wanted. And I said, "You know what? Thank you for redeeming me, at least on this side of it." But at that, I said to myself, hey, right there, unfortunately, I cut that guy out of my life. I cut out his brother. I cut out, and then now I've pretty much cut out the guy that called as well. And I'm like, you did it to yourself. You should have minded your business. And mind you, there was six. I'll tell you right now, there was six of us growing up, six guys, and now it's just me and Paul. My friend, my best friend Paul, and that we grew up together. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of friends,
Yeah.
but out of those guys, I'm really only in contact with Paul, and honestly, I'm good with that.
You know what it is? I think that I don't know. Maybe they were bullied as well, and then they just didn't know how to handle it. And then
Maybe.
you were the only one that actually spoke up from the group.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I know I was the only one that spoke up,
I wonder if the other ones felt the same way. They were just too afraid
or
to
they
say
thought nothing
anything,
of it, or maybe they,
or they
maybe
agreed.
they weren't as sensitive as I was. I don't know,
They
and I
said that
honestly
you were
don't care
sensitive.
because again, their loss. I feel.
Yeah,
I feel it's their loss, not mine.
but isn't that like when somebody brings something up to like a narcissistic person or whatever, a person that doesn't really care about other people's feelings, when they're like, "Oh, don't be so sensitive." I hate that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
They're putting
narcissism in a
down.
nutshell.
I feel what I feel. You can't tell me not to feel that way.
And that's the whole thing, ain't it? That's the whole thing. That's what bullies will do.
Yep.
That's what narcissists will do. And yes, I know those are the key words nowadays, or
Yeah.
those are the popular words for certain people nowadays. But hey, that's what they'll do. They'll turn it around on you. And like I said earlier, I learned this the hard way, but sometimes you need to confront the bully in your life, figuratively and sometimes physically, by punching them right in the mouth or in the nose. But I mean that, or just to let them know, like, you're not going to stand for it anymore. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying be violent. I really am not. But hey, you know what? Push comes to shove. Sometimes you're like, enough is
Just
enough.
cut them out of your life. I mean,
Yeah.
some people. Well,
Tell
in
them,
my,
tell them your business. Tell them off if you have to.
Yeah.
Tell them your business. Cleanse yourself of it, and be like, you know what? You don't like what I have to say to you? Maybe you shouldn't have been such a jerk to me. And we're done now. We're done. That's all there is to it.
Cut them out of your life. Well, I just want to say, I want to give you guys a great big thank you for listening to Kevin Lil. Have we met? Taking time out of your day, excuse me, taking time out of your day to spend time with us, and the fact that you invite us to your lives is a huge honor, guys. Thank you so much. Also, if you like our podcast, yes, I'm going to self-promote. Please don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. This helps us more than you know. If you really like us,
Even our website will work too.
And want to show us what?
You can do it on Podbean as
yes,
well.
Honey, but if you let me finish.
Oh, I apologize.
Jeez. If you want to show us support, go to our website, kevinlilhavewemet.com, where you can find us on social media. Follow, share, comment, download, rate, review, all that good stuff. And once again, thank you for your support, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor for us to have such wonderful followers. Thank you and goodbye.
So thank you for listening to Kev.
And Lil,
Have we met? And here's hoping you have better relationships in your life. Goodbye.
Goodbye.